Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to dive in and totally demystify the rich and honestly deeply complex Hellenistic astrology behind the sign of Sagittarius. We're going to break down the ancient symbols, the elemental building blocks, and the planetary rulerships that make up the ultimate adventurer's personality. So, if you've ever wondered what exactly drives the most restless, visionary, and truth-seeking people among us, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Let's kick things off with a quick question to get us thinking. Which sign acts as the ultimate superfan of life? You know, the one driven by this absolutely boundless enthusiasm to broaden everyone's horizons, who naturally steps into the role of the Zodiac's motivational speaker? The answer, of course, is Sagittarius.
Part 1. The Spirit of Expansion. Introducing the Zodiac's Adventurer.
All right, to start, we've got to look at the number 9. In the traditional Hellenistic framework, Sagittarius is the 9th sign of the zodiacal wheel, and that position is a big deal. It represents a phase in the cycle that is entirely dedicated to the pursuit of higher meaning, philosophical truth, and larger-than-life inspiration. It's that pivotal moment in the zodiac where we finally look up from our immediate surroundings and start aiming for the stars.
Covering birthdays from late November to late December, these folks are defined by an incredibly restless energy and a true pioneering spirit. They are wildly optimistic, fiercely independent, and they possess this amazing foresight. But flip that coin, and that same tireless drive can definitely make them seem impatient. They are generous, hilarious free spirits, but they will absolutely run from any heavy emotional restriction. And trust me, they are not afraid to be bluntly honest about it if they feel tied down.
Part 2. Elements of a hero. The fundamental building blocks.
Let's peel back the layers and look at the raw architectural code of a Sagittarius. We're dealing with a masculine, or yang energy, meaning it's active and projective rather than receptive. It's driven by the fire element, operates in a mutable modality, and gets ruled by the radiant planet Jupiter in its day domicile. When you overlap all these specific qualities, you get a personality that is inherently active, radiant, and incredibly expansive.
So, what does mutable fire actually mean in plain English? Well, fire is an element that needs fuel and changes things, right? It's highly exertive. But unlike the sudden, short burst of Aries or the steady, warming hearth fire of Leo, Sagittarius is more like a diffused, wide-ranging bushfire. Because it's mutable, which represents the end of a season and a time of transition, this fire moves with the wind. It's a restless spirit that's constantly shifting, adapting to new situations, and happily taking the scenic route to its destination.
And pouring gasoline on that fire is their ruling planet, Jupiter. Because Jupiter is hanging out in its day home here, the Sagittarius native is totally infused with bigness, vitality, and liberation. It absolutely rejects boundaries of any kind. This is exactly why you'll constantly see them trying to lift other people up, freely sharing the good news of whatever grand truth they've just discovered with anyone who will listen. If you've ever had a friend stubbornly insist that you just have to read this life-changing book or travel to a certain country, you've experienced this projective, generous energy firsthand.
Part 3. The Centaur and the Archer. Deconstructing the mythology.
The whole point of the centaur symbol really comes down to this striking contrast. On one side, you have the human half, which represents rationality, intelligence, and the pursuit of wisdom. That's what gives them direction. On the other side, the horse half represents raw instinct and physical power, providing the immense speed they need to travel. So a Sagittarius is constantly trying to reconcile their highly rational mind with this wild, animalistic instinct.
I absolutely love the visual metaphor of the archer that goes right along with the centaur. Think about it. A bow and arrow are mechanical tools working in perfect harmony with the organic body to hit incredibly precise targets across vast distances. Just like an arrow is projected with immense force, Sagittarius natives project their ideas outward. They fire what we can call arrows of aphorisms, these pithy, concentrated little truths meant to strike a target and create real, tangible change in the world around them.
Part 4. Optimism and the truth. The unwavering moral code.
You'll hear it all the time. Sagittarius is the most optimistic sign of the zodiac. And it's true. They operate on pure faith, often achieving incredible things through sheer enthusiasm and what we can really only call strike-time mojo. I mean, who needs a logical 5-year plan when you've got boundless inspiration? But because they lack the stripped no of a restrictive planet like Saturn to rein them in, this intense optimism can sometimes cause them to overcommit, overshare, or even become zealous dogmatists for whatever their current cause happens to be.
Now, when it comes to gathering knowledge, look at the stark contrast with their opposite sign, Gemini. While Gemini loves to get super bogged down in hackable techniques, granular details, and restrictive data, Sagittarius has an unwavering duty to the big picture.
They want to understand the grand, universal truths. Their thinking is expansive and inclusive. Honestly, they'd rather hug the whole world at once than squint at the fine print.
This absolute duty to the truth spills over into how they handle social situations, too. Take Libra, for example, who seeks diplomatic consensus and careful social etiquette. A Sagittarius, on the other hand, feels a deep moral obligation to never conceal what they believe to be true. If they see the truth, they're going to tell you. It makes them delightfully honest and deeply sincere, but as you can probably guess, it often makes them pretty blunt and completely lacking in traditional social tact. Consensus simply does not matter to them if it means compromising the truth.
Because of this intensely visionary approach, strict logic, and cold hard facts, yeah, they actually struggle a bit in this sign. Instead of poring over raw data, a Sagittarius relies heavily on a deeply felt instinct. It's kind of like a spidey sense. They value intuitive truth way more than provable spreadsheets. They might not always have the math to back up their claims, but their gut is screaming at them that they are absolutely right.
Part 5. The hero's real-life quest. Careers, travel, and finding meaning. So how does all this ancient astrology actually manifest in the modern world? Well, their preferences heavily lean toward travel, exploration, total independence, and broad-minded thinking. Conversely, their absolute kryptonite is boredom, routine tasks, and emotional restriction. Because of this, they're naturally pushed toward really dynamic careers. They thrive when they can be a sage on the stage, working as storytellers, teachers, philosophers, or motivational speakers, where their boundless generosity can truly uplift the people around them.
Ultimately, the core takeaway here is this. Whether it happens through physically traveling to foreign countries or taking a deep intellectual dive into ancient wisdom, a Sagittarius absolutely must have a mythic, epic objective to chase. Without a meaningful, larger-than-life goal, all that mutable fire just turns into deep restlessness and unhappiness. They literally need a quest to stay engaged with the world.
As we wrap up this explainer, I'd love for you to take a second to reflect on all this expansive Sagittarius energy we've just unpacked today. Regardless of your own zodiac sign, what is the larger-than-life objective driving your story forward? What is your own epic hero's quest? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today, and keep aiming those arrows at the stars.